I can't tell you how much I sympathise with the way everybody has had to endure this unbelievably testing and challenging time.
King Charles immediately raised his hand, signaling his entire entourage to halt. In an instant, the procession, previously moving with solemn dignity, came to a complete standstill. Before the lenses of the international media, Queen Camilla suddenly strode into the gap between Prince William and Princess Catherine, deliberately breaking the formation that had placed the couple side by side. No one had time to react. Onlookers could only watch the scene unfold right before their eyes. An action lasting mere seconds became the clearest public indication that a crisis far more serious than the public realized was unfolding within the royal family. According to an insider, Camilla's bold move was not born of impulse. It was reportedly the result of a carefully laid plan. Her goal was to isolate Catherine, separating the Princess of Wales from William and pushing her out of the most prominent positions during the ceremony. Camilla believed her scheme was sufficiently concealed. Little did she know, however, that William had prepared a trap of his own. A hidden camera had been placed in a spot Camilla would never have suspected. To understand how matters escalated to this point, one must go back 12 days before the Order of the Garter procession at Windsor. That day inside St. George's Hall, the atmosphere was heavy from the moment the rehearsal began. The hall's ancient stone walls had witnessed centuries of royal upheaval. Secret meetings, solemn ceremonies, and countless pivotal moments had all taken place there. Yet on that day, a space that symbolized stability felt more like a silent battlefield. Pale golden light from the overhead fixtures cast a glow upon the polished wooden floor. The royal family members stood in their designated formations while the ceremonial team continuously checked every movement. On the other side of the room, the visual technical team monitored multiple large screens, checking the camera angles planned for the official ceremony. Everything proceeded in an orderly fashion until Camilla appeared. Upon entering the hall, she did not walk straight to her position. Instead, Camilla headed toward the technical area. Her gaze was quickly drawn to one of the large screens displaying test footage. Catherine appeared on the screen. The camera captured nearly every one of her movements. A gentle smile, a tilt of the head as she spoke to the person beside her, a subtle gesture as Catherine adjusted her ceremonial attire before returning to her position. There was no ostentation in her actions, yet it was precisely that natural ease that made her stand out. The cameras seemed to find Catherine constantly without the need for any special staging. Camilla stood motionless before the screen. She observed every detail, and the longer she watched, the more evident the displeasure in her eyes became. Her daughter-in-law's natural grace seemed to have become a thorn in Camilla's side, something she could not simply ignore. For she was forced to confront a reality that was difficult to accept. No matter that Camilla appeared with the status of a queen, no matter how elaborate her ceremonial attire, or how close she stood to the king during the most important rituals, the public's attention often naturally gravitated toward the younger woman behind her. Catherine did not need to vie for the spotlight. Her mere presence was enough to command it. And it was this very fact that caused Camilla's displeasure to quickly morph into jealousy. That jealousy soon crystallized into a concrete plan. Camilla had no intention of sharing any significant portion of the limelight during the live broadcast. She turned to a nearby aide who was holding a folder detailing the order of the procession. Camilla motioned for the aide to step closer. She then pointed to the screen which displayed the procession's route. Her voice was not loud, but it was cold and decisive. Camilla demanded a change to the procession's layout. The formation was to be split into separate sections, and Catherine's position was to be moved further back. Under this new arrangement, Catherine would stand much further away from William than originally planned. At certain points in the Great Hall, towering stone columns might even obscure her from the main camera angles. If this plan were fully implemented, Catherine's television exposure would be significantly reduced. Camilla's objective was not hard to discern. She wanted to minimize the visibility of the Prince and Princess of Wales. She wanted Catherine to virtually disappear from the ceremony's most pivotal moments, ensuring the spotlight remained firmly on herself and the king. In her view, controlling the positioning on the ceremonial carpet meant controlling public perception of those standing there. Camilla believed that adjusting the lineup could dampen the growing public focus on William and Catherine. Furthermore, she seemed intent on tempering the immense expectations the public held for the monarchy's next generation. But Camilla had misjudged one person. William was close enough to overhear the entire directive. The Prince of Wales was standing at the front of the rehearsal formation. At first he said nothing, But moments later, his expression shifted dramatically. His jaw tightened. His gaze turned icy. He turned and stepped out of his position. He did not ask an aide to relay a message. He did not wait for the rehearsal to conclude. William strode directly toward the technical monitoring area where Camilla was standing. His face was set in a tense mask. His eyes burned with anger that had been pent up for years, ever since Camilla had become a central figure in the family's life. William did not resort to diplomatic pleasantries, nor did he attempt to soften his objection for the sake of maintaining a polite atmosphere. He walked right up to Camilla and pointed a finger directly at her. The technical team fell instantly silent. Some even stopped working altogether. No one wanted to get caught in the middle of that confrontation. William's voice was low, yet powerful enough for those nearby to hear clearly. "My wife will stand beside me." He paused briefly. Then he continued, his voice firmer. "No one, I repeat, no one is permitted to push her into the shadows." The entire hall seemed to freeze. Those words struck directly at the plan Camilla had just tried to impose. William was not merely objecting to a change in protocol. He was publicly drawing a line in the sand. Catherine would not be sidelined to serve anyone's ambitions regarding public image. Camilla stood motionless. Her lips were pressed tight. The lipstick at the corners of her mouth smudged slightly as her expression hardened. One hand gripped the sash of her gown so tightly that her knuckles turned white. William did not back down, nor did Camilla look away. They stared directly at each other in tense silence. In that moment, the boundary between stepmother and stepson seemed to vanish. What stood out most clearly was the confrontation between two people on opposite sides of a divide. One sought to maintain control over image and status. The other was determined to protect Catherine and the future of the succession. Camilla seemed to realize that the William before her was no longer the quiet boy of years past. He was no longer willing to remain silent simply to avoid family conflict. William was now the heir apparent, and he was ready to defend his wife against any attempt to diminish her standing. Not only because Catherine was his wife, but also because she was an integral part of the future of the succession. The look in William's eyes at that moment spoke volumes far more clearly than any warning could. Catherine would stand by his side, and if anyone sought to push her from that position, they would have to face William head-on first. Instead of backing down in the face of William's anger, Camilla chose silence. She offered no further argument, no rebuttal, no attempt to justify her decision. Camilla simply turned and walked away from the staging area, her expression icy. Yet that silence did not signify acceptance of defeat. On the contrary, the very moment William publicly blocked her move seemed only to deepen her resentment. A new plan began to take shape in her mind. A more dangerous plan. A bolder one. And this time, Camilla was no longer interested in merely adjusting Catherine's position for the rehearsal. She intended to disrupt the very formation William and Catherine were set to take on the day of the ceremony. Regardless of the potential consequences, that intention quietly festered behind the closed doors of Windsor. On the morning of the Order of the Garter procession, Windsor Castle held an almost unnatural stillness. The great doors remained shut. International guests had not yet begun to arrive. Outside, the crowds were steadily gathering, while within the grounds, the guard made final checks of uniforms, ceremonial weapons, and marching formations. Corridors bustled with activity. Every step of the preparation was timed to the minute. Yet deep within the palace's private quarters, a vastly different plan was being set in motion. Camilla had made her final decision. She would not accept the outcome of the rehearsal held 12 days prior. Nor did she intend to let William's warning mark the end of the matter. The fear of being overshadowed by the younger generation of royals drove Camilla to cross a line that even her closest associates might never have anticipated. She knew all too well what would happen if the procession proceeded in its official formation. William and Catherine would appear side by side. Catherine would feature in the most prominent shots, and public attention would likely once again focus on the Prince and Princess of Wales. Meanwhile, Camilla would stand beside the king, but risk being relegated to a secondary visual role. She could not accept that. If the official lineup could not be altered by public decree, Camilla would change it another way. A last-minute switch, secret, unauthorized. And if successful, there would be barely enough time for anyone to correct it before the procession began. Camilla summoned an executive aide she believed she could control. He was instructed to come to her private dressing room at Clarence's house. As soon as he entered, Camilla herself shut the heavy oak door behind him. The lock clicked sharply. No servant could burst in unexpectedly. No one could clearly overhear the conversation inside. Arranged on the antique wooden vanity were jewelry boxes, cosmetics, and ceremonial accessories. Amidst these items, Camilla placed a small sheet of paper. It was a hand-drawn diagram. No official seal, no signature of approval, no confirmation from the king or any ceremonial authority. But on that paper, Camilla had redrawn the procession lineup. William on one side, Catherine on the other. Between them, a gap had been deliberately left, just enough space for one person to step in. An arrow drawn with a slightly trembling hand pointed directly at that spot, the spot reserved for Camilla. She had calculated it carefully. When the procession began, Camilla would leave her official position and step into the gap between William and Catherine. If it all happened quickly enough, Catherine would be pushed aside before anyone could react. And once the formation began moving amidst thousands of spectators and hundreds of cameras, stopping to correct the positioning would become extremely difficult. This was no longer a minor procedural adjustment. It was a calculated move designed to isolate Catherine in the public eye. Camilla wanted to project a completely different image. Instead of William and Catherine standing side by side as the couple representing the next generation, Catherine would appear out of alignment as if she had been sidelined from the center of power. Just a few steps, but on television those few steps could send a powerful message. The aide stared at the diagram. His face instantly drained of color. Sweat began to bead on his forehead. He understood royal protocol well enough to grasp exactly what was being asked of him. The official procession diagram was not a document to be altered at will. Every position had been finalized. Any change required formal approval. If he swapped the genuine document for this handwritten version without the consent of the king or the officials in charge of protocol, the consequences could ruin his entire career. Discovery would mean immediate dismissal. His reputation would vanish along with it. The aide hesitated. Camilla noticed. She stepped closer. The distance between them closed until he could clearly smell the heavy perfume clinging to her clothes. Camilla's gaze remained unwavering. There was no trace of softness left, no room for negotiation. She alluded to his work, to the secrets she knew, to the things that could be used to strip him of everything if he refused. The aide understood the message immediately. He was being backed into a corner. Before the procession departs, you will swap this sheet with the official diagram in the Lord Chamberlain's files. Camilla's voice was low but icy. It was not a request. It was an order. The aide swallowed hard. He glanced down at the paper one last time. Then he bowed his head. There was no turning back. He rolled up the diagram, tucked it deep inside his coat, and quickly left the room. His face was pale. The sound of his hurried footsteps echoed down the nearly empty corridor. As he drew closer to the ceremony control room, his anxiety mounted. He kept glancing from side to side. If just one person asked what he was carrying, if just one guard stopped him, it could all end right there. But then an opportunity arose. In the brief moment when two security guards were swapping posts, the assistant hurried over to the table where the ceremony files were kept. He pulled the leather folder toward him. His hands were trembling so much that the metal clasp tapped against the edge of the table. He opened it. Inside lay the official schematic, prepared according to protocol, left unchanged since the rehearsal. The assistant removed the genuine document. For a few seconds he stood motionless, holding both documents. That was his last chance to turn back. But his fear of Camilla won out. He tucked the real document inside his jacket. Then he placed Camilla's handwritten version in the exact same spot. The folder snapped shut. A faint click. But to the assistant, that sound marked the moment he crossed a point of no return. The task was done. In another room, Camilla was still standing before the mirror. She adjusted her outfit, checked her hair, then gazed at her reflection with satisfaction. In her mind, everything was going exactly according to plan. The fake schematic had been fed into the system. No one had noticed. All that remained was for the procession to begin. Camilla believed Catherine was about to face her most embarrassing public moment. A moment millions would witness. And once that image was broadcast, it could not be undone. But just when Camilla believed she had everything under control, she made her biggest mistake. She underestimated William. After their heated confrontation at St. George's Hall, William did not believe for a moment that Camilla would simply give up. Her silence made him even more wary. He understood that if Camilla truly wanted to alter Catherine's position, a failed attempt during the rehearsal would only drive her to seek a more covert method. So, on the eve of the ceremony, William prepared a countermeasure of his own. No warning, no further confrontation. No letting Camilla know he was watching. William turned the ceremony control room into a trap. A tiny camera was discreetly installed inside an antique bronze statue. From the outside, nothing looked amiss. No exposed wires, no indicator lights, no sign whatsoever that the camera was recording continuously. The signal from the device was transmitted directly to a secure tablet William kept with him. And just as Camilla's aide entered the control room to swap the documents William was watching, he saw every movement on the screen. The aide glanced around, opened the folder, removed the official document, then inserted the other one. The camera captured it all. From a close enough angle, the handwriting on the doctored diagram was clearly visible. The symbols, the arrows, the gap between William and Catherine. William instantly understood what was happening. Anger flared within him. But this time he did not step out to confront her immediately. He did not summon guards to arrest the assistant. He did not disrupt the ceremony. He knew that if he acted too soon, Camilla could deny everything. She could pin the blame on the assistant. She could claim she never gave the order. She could spin the whole affair as a mere administrative error. William needed more than that. He needed evidence strong enough to lead directly to the person behind the scheme. So, he saved the entire video recording. Not a single second was missed. Then William left his office and walked to the adjacent area where Catherine was preparing for the ceremony. She was not yet aware of everything that had just transpired. William approached her. He held Catherine in an embrace for a few seconds, as if to reassure her before everything began. He did not go into detail. He simply asked her to remain calm, to continue exactly as instructed, and not to react if anything unusual occurred. Just stay in your position. William's message was clear. He would handle the rest. Meanwhile, Camilla remained convinced that her plan had succeeded perfectly. She knew the folder had been swapped. No alarms had been raised. No one had rushed over to confront her. There was no sign that the secret had been discovered. To Camilla, this was proof that she had won. She was simply waiting for the moment to step in between William and Catherine before an audience of millions. But what Camilla was completely unaware of was that from the moment the assistant's hand touched the file, every action had been recorded. Every anxious glance, every movement of the document swap, every detail of the forged papers. It was all now in William's hands. The person who thought she was setting a trap had in fact walked right into one. William needed only to take one final step. Someone with enough power to ensure Camilla could not escape the consequences. And that person was none other than King Charles. The video on the tablet was not merely evidence. It was also something capable of transforming William's anger into the king's own fury. As soon as the hidden camera footage confirmed that the ceremonial layout had been swapped, William wasted no time. He grabbed his tablet and headed straight for King Charles III's private quarters. Inside the royal bedroom, Charles was making the final adjustments to his ceremonial attire. He had just straightened his robe when the door opened. William walked in, his expression stern and unyielding. No pleasantries. No lengthy explanations. No attempt to downplay the gravity of what had just occurred. He strode directly to his father's large wooden desk, placed the tablet firmly on the surface, and played the video. Charles glanced at the screen. An immediate silence fell over the room. For the first few seconds, he simply watched the aide who had appeared in the ceremonial planning room. The man looked around, approached the file, opened it, removed the official document, and replaced it with a completely different layout. Charles narrowed his eyes. The video continued to play. The markings on the new layout clearly showed a gap being created between William and Catherine, a gap that did not exist in the approved formation. And according to William's investigation, the trail of this scheme led straight to Camilla. The king's expression shifted almost instantly. Initial confusion gave way to astonishment. Then astonishment turned to anger. Charles stared at the screen, as if still hoping he had misunderstood the situation. But the footage was unmistakable. There was little room for any other interpretation. He had spent years shielding Camilla from criticism, weathering immense pressure from the public and his own family. He had stood by her side, defended her position, and ultimately elevated her to the highest rank beside the king. Yet now Charles saw a plan that threatened to turn a pivotal royal ceremony into a public confrontation among his own family members. His hands clenched. If Camilla carried out that intention before thousands of people and hundreds of cameras, the consequences would go far beyond a mere awkward moment. It could expose the internal rifts within the monarchy to the world. Catherine could be displaced from her position beside her husband. William might react right in the middle of the ceremony. And in a matter of seconds, an event designed to demonstrate the stability of the crown could turn into evidence of a power struggle within the palace. Charles realized there was no time left to convene a meeting. He could not summon all parties for a debate, nor could he wait for a flurry of administrative documents to be drafted and circulated to the various departments. The ceremony was too imminent. If he wanted to halt the plan, he had to act using his direct authority. Charles stood up. Without a word, he walked over to the large oak cabinet at the far end of the room. William stood behind him watching. The cabinet doors opened. Charles took out a sheet of thick parchment, a stick of dark red wax, and his royal signet ring. The atmosphere in the room grew heavy. He lit a small candle. The golden flame flickered gently. He held the wax stick close to the flame until it began to soften. A drop of molten wax fell onto the parchment. Charles paused for a heartbeat, then pressed the ring down. The emblem appeared clearly against the red background. From that moment on, this was no longer a family dispute. It had become a royal decree. The content of the decree was explicit. William and Catherine were to remain side by side throughout the entire critical portion of the ceremony. No one was permitted to arbitrarily insert themselves into or alter the approved formation. The Lord Chamberlain and his security detail were authorized to intervene immediately should anyone break rank. Rank offered no exception. Status offered no exception. The order applied to everyone. If Camilla were to step between William and Catherine, she was to be escorted back to her proper position. No arguing, no waiting for explanations. Charles wanted the matter handled on the spot. The decree lay upon the table. The scent of hot wax still lingered in the air. Shortly thereafter, the Lord Chamberlain was summoned. Charles personally handed him the document. The king's gaze was stern. He emphasized that the official formation was not to be altered again. Should anyone deliberately break the formation, the order was to be enforced immediately. Even if that person were Camilla. William stood nearby. He needed to say nothing more. His task was complete. The evidence had reached the only person capable of locking the entire plan in place with an order that could not be ignored. A trap of power had been set. Camilla remained unaware of it. She still believed the counterfeit diagram dictated the procession, and that very belief would lead her straight into her greatest blunder. The next morning, Windsor woke to a clear blue sky. Thousands of people lined the routes around the castle, packed tight behind the barriers. Flags fluttered in the breeze. Flowers were held aloft. International broadcasters were already in position, ready to beam the ceremony live to millions of viewers. As the brass fanfare rang out, the procession began to move. The formation advanced slowly through the castle gates. Camilla appeared beside Charles. She smiled. Her gait was composed. There was no sign of nerves. In Camilla's mind, the plan had been finalized before the procession even started. The fake diagram had been slipped into the files. Her assistant had done exactly as instructed. No alarms had been raised. No one had summoned her for questioning. There was no indication that William had discovered anything. Camilla believed she was one step ahead of everyone. She glanced toward the crowd. Then her eyes quickly shifted to Catherine. The decisive moment was drawing near. The procession approached the square in front of St. George's Chapel. That was the spot Camilla had chosen. The space was more open. The camera angles were clearer, and if she timed her move right, Catherine would be pushed out of the position beside William in full view of the audience. Camilla adjusted her stride, one step, then another. Then she suddenly quickened her pace. At first glance, the movement was subtle. It looked like a natural adjustment within the procession. But seconds later, Camilla began to edge away from Charles's side. She moved across the formation. Then she stepped directly into the gap between William and Catherine. Her large ceremonial cloak instantly filled the frame. Catherine was partially obscured. Camilla continued to edge sideways, forcing Catherine to yield ground. Just one more half step back from Catherine, and the plan would be complete. Before millions of viewers, the Princess of Wales would appear to be standing outside the center position. Camilla turned her head toward Catherine. A fleeting look of satisfaction crossed her eyes. She believed she had just won. No one would dare interrupt a royal procession being broadcast live. No one, Camilla thought, would dare turn a few steps into a public scandal right there in the square. But then Charles stopped, without warning. The king raised his white-gloved hand. The entire formation behind him came to an immediate halt. The sound of footsteps ceased almost simultaneously. Those nearby turned to look. Even the crowd seemed to sense that something was amiss. Camilla froze. She turned toward Charles. The smile had not yet fully faded from her lips. The king stepped out of his position. He walked straight toward Camilla. There was no smile for the cameras, no ceremonial composure, only coldness. Charles pointed to the spot Camilla had just vacated. Go back to your place. The command was so brief it left Camilla no room to feign misunderstanding. She stood rooted to the spot. Camilla might have anticipated William objecting. She might have imagined Catherine would be displeased, but she was unprepared for Charles to publicly halt the entire procession to stop her. Camilla's expression shifted. The look of triumph vanished. Her cheeks flushed red. Then her face quickly went pale as she realized all the cameras were still rolling. Not a single lens turned away. There was no way to turn this moment into a private matter. The rebuke played out in full public view. William immediately shifted toward Catherine. He took her hand. He pulled her back close to his side. No explanation was needed. The action spoke for itself. Catherine was not pushed aside, nor did William intend to let her stand alone at the edge of the formation. The two continued walking side by side. Camilla was forced to step back. She returned to her original position, her teeth clenched. Her face was rigid with tension, yet she could not react. The procession began to move again, and from that moment on, every step Camilla took seemed heavier than the last. She still had to maintain her composure. She still had to keep walking, all while thousands of eyes, international officials, and cameras recorded every detail. Just minutes earlier, Camilla had believed she was about to push Catherine out of the spotlight. Now she was the one who had been forced to step back before the entire world. The confrontation did not end in the square. It simply shifted to a place beyond the reach of cameras. As soon as the royals passed through the great doors of St. George's Chapel, the group was quickly ushered into a private room. The oak doors closed behind them. 2 guards stood watch outside. The noise of the crowd vanished. No more live broadcast. No more ceremonial smiles. Camilla spun around sharply. The composure she had maintained in the public instantly shattered. How could you do that to me? Her voice rang out laced with anger. In front of everyone, Camilla looked at Charles. I am the queen. Her breathing grew rapid. You just humiliated me before the whole world. Charles remained motionless. William said nothing, but Catherine stepped forward. No anger, no raised voice. Yet that very calmness only heightened the tension. She looked straight at Camilla. You cannot blame anyone else for what just happened. Camilla turned to face her. Catherine continued. You created this situation yourself. The air in the room seemed to freeze. Camilla let out a short, cold, bitter laugh. She still believed she held one final advantage. Evidence, or more precisely the lack thereof. According to the original plan, the handwritten diagram should have ceased to exist once the swap was complete. Without that document, Camilla believed any accusation could be dismissed as mere speculation. She lifted her chin. That is what the ritual diagram stated. Camilla's voice grew firmer. I simply stood in the position that had been prepared. Then she looked Catherine directly in the eye. On what grounds do you accuse me? A silence fell over the room. Camilla seemed to regain a measure of confidence. Where is the evidence? It was the question she believed would end the confrontation. The assistant had carried out the document swap. The genuine document had been removed from its place. The handwritten copy should have vanished as well. There was nothing left to directly link Camilla to the scheme. At least that was what she believed. And it was precisely that confidence that blinded Camilla to the fact that William had not yet played his most important card. Then the moment Camilla was wholly unprepared for finally arrived. William played his trump card. He walked to the table in the center of the room, produced 2 items from his coat, and placed them firmly before Camilla. The first was a tablet playing a secret video that captured her assistant swapping the ceremonial schematics. The second was the very handwritten diagram Camilla believed had vanished. Her face instantly went pale. No denial could salvage the situation now. Charles stepped forward and placed a decree bearing a red wax seal beside the evidence. Did you think I didn't know William showed me everything last night? He looked directly at Camilla. You built this trap out of lies, and in the end, you were the one who walked right into it. Camilla stepped back, her trembling hands gripping a chair before she sank onto the sofa. The battle she believed she could control was over. Within 24 hours, the consequences began to unfold. Charles revoked Camilla's ceremonial privileges, curtailed her royal schedule, and stripped her of the golden key symbolizing access to Windsor. Catherine was granted a more prominent role, while the assistant involved in the document swap was dismissed. Camilla finally admitted her greatest fear being overshadowed by William and Catherine. Yet therein lay the paradox of the story. The The harder Camilla tried to push Catherine into the shadows, the more she caused Catherine's position to shine. As dusk fell over, Windsor William took Catherine's hand, and together they walked through the palace doors. After all was said and done, they remained side by side. But what do you think? Did Charles do the right thing, or did he go too far? Was curtailing Camilla's role a fitting price to pay, or should she have been given another chance? Share your thoughts below. If you want to continue exploring the conflicts and secrets behind the British royal family, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next story.